I was busy doing something one day, minding my own business, and in pops this voice into my head. And this voice says, do you want to know who did it? And I know now that it was Maddie. And I was like, I just stopped and I thought, yeah, okay. And she said, it was a police officer.
Got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me. An open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round. Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. I've been so excited about this. And you've got the most amazing group of people following you. So hello to the Hive.
You are by far the most requested collaboration I've ever had. People send me your stuff all the time. So I'm stoked to be able to talk with you tonight. Could you describe yourself as a psychic, a medium, for people that maybe don't know, who you are, what you do?
As far as I'm concerned, anyone can do what I do. For the people who are hardcore skeptics, I say to them, think about animals. Think about, especially wild animals, or any animals actually. They communicate with each other without having to have a sophisticated conversation. Animals can alert each other to danger. They can call on each other without using any kind of communication, but it is something to do with, using that skill that humans haven't developed yet.
I think you got to give yourself some credit, because you say everybody can do this, which could be true, but not everybody is doing that. So can you describe, what is it like when you get something, whether it's a reading? Do you have to channel energy towards a person, towards a case? Does it come to you randomly, almost if you have a dream? Because I don't know either, and I'm kind of curious too. How would you describe it happens?
So it's interesting. I feel like I'm still very much a novice at this. I know that's to some people I'll be like, what? But compared to some people that have been doing this for 15, 20 years, the way it works for me is, in reality, I should be able to do what I do without picking up a tarot deck. What tarot is basically, it's a bit of a training wheel, if that makes sense. So all the tarot does is gives you a clue or a way to direct your energy, if that makes sense. So I describe it a bit like, without a tarot deck, it's a bit like walking into a library, but all the books are thrown on the floor and they're all in a pile in the heap, and you need to find a particular book and you're like, oh my God, I don't know where to start. So what the tarot does is, you'll turn a card over and it'll direct you to the right place, if that makes sense. And it gives you a way to order the messages you're getting. But the way it works is very much like the way you think, really, or the way it works for me anyway. It's, I will have a thought or an idea and I just run with it and I go with it, and I just trust my gut. I trust my intuition, and that's what it's about. That's the essence of it.
It's like a roadmap to your intuition. There might be arrows that just point you, trust your gut in this direction. If you had this thought, I love the analogy of the books are scattered everywhere. They're open, but which one are you going to, read, read for it?
Exactly.
What is it about the Idaho 4 case that, what was your first reading on the Idaho 4?
The first reading I did on the Idaho 4 was on Brian Koberger.
And what made you do that?
I was busy doing something one day, minding my own business, and in pops this voice into my head. And this voice says, do you want to know who did it? And I know now that it was Maddie. And I was like, I just stopped and I thought, yeah, okay. And she said, it was a police officer. I was like, what?
Holy
And in that moment, I thought, I'm deluded. I actually thought, okay, now I'm making it up. I'm like, that's just ridiculous. So I went on a bit of a deep dive after that to see if there's any possibility that there could be. And this was, I think it was either 1 or 2 years ago, I'm not sure. And I happened to come across another, this was really interesting. I happened to come across another reader who was doing a reading on Brian Koberger as well. And that's one thing I'll never do, is watch other readers, because that's just the quickest way to end up with unconscious bias or whatever it's called. But anyway, she's doing this reading and she's just going through it all, and then she turned a card. I couldn't see what the card was, but she turned a card and I saw her go white as a sheet, and I knew that she'd just seen what I'd been told. And she kind of skimmed over it, because I think she was more worried about, if I say this, then this video is going to get taken down, or I'm going to be in trouble. But she kind of said, oh, Yeah, so there's something about law enforcement, but yeah, and you could see she was struggling and she wouldn't say what she saw, but I knew instantly then that this was something, there was definitely something in it, and it's developed. Since then, it's just like, it's all starting to fall into place.
That has to be a lot to not only deal with in your own head, like you said, I'm going crazy, I'm, whatever it might be. Is this true? Am I fibbing myself? And then to feel compelled enough to like put that out there and trust in your abilities to say that. I mean, have you struggled with a reading in regards to this case that you've since put out, but initially when you did put it out, you were like, I don't know, and it's been proven true? Would that be an example of it with the police officer?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I take a risk every time I do a reading because, especially at the beginning, I think, this is going to be the one where I'm going to get a lot of negative reaction, or people, I'm going to lose a lot of subscribers, or I'm going to lose a lot of followers. And honestly, it's never happened yet. And I find it fascinating because I bounce off my followers. It's like, I literally, when I do a reading, I usually go into a reading having known nothing. If anyone follows me, they know that half the time I have no clue about anything. I'm just literally letting the cards tell me or fill in the details. And it's afterwards that I sit and I'll read through the comments and people's emails and say, hey, did you know this? And they're telling me things that I've been trying to figure out, like I'm doing a reading and saying, what's this about? I'm getting a red door or something. They're like, yeah, so-and-so, Jack Showalter had a red door. Or, it's like, it's just fascinating.
You actually told me something that kind of blew my mind, where you were like, I try to not go as granular as somebody like myself would, or people in the Hive would, because you don't want to be influenced. Rather, you'd get, I think you said it was like, you'd rather get the reading and then after the fact dive into it.
If it fits afterwards, yeah.
And why do you do it that way? Just so that you're not biased? Like, have you had an instance where you do question yourself? Like,
it is literally, if I mean, at the beginning, I'd involve myself purely with the hearings and stuff, so I knew that that's factual. And I wouldn't go and sit and watch, say, one of your shows or anyone else's shows before doing a reading, because I know if I did that, and if that show had been, say, for instance, saying that, say if I hadn't read for Dylan and everyone's saying Dylan's involved, Dylan had something to do with it, I am 100% going to go into that reading before I even turn any cards and think, yeah, Dylan's involved. I could see a card turn over and it could allude to, Dylan lying or something. But actually, without that knowledge, it could be something else.
I would like to add an additional question, if that's okay, to what Blue Eyed Candy said, is not only have you had any feelings about the kitchen area, but what about the crime scene photos in general?
The photos of the kitchen are probably the pictures that I have spent most time looking at, because it is just, again, it's ridiculous. How do they get away with it? Like, how do they get away with crime scene evidence photos that are changing in every picture, and that's not questioned? I don't understand how the level of kind of, sorry to use the word, but that's going on is never questioned. The only thing I know, or the thing that I've picked up from my readings, is that obviously we've got 4 people, but actually I keep picking up 5, but that's another issue. 4 people, and they've all passed in, I think they've all passed in different places. So they certainly didn't all pass in the house. And as far as I've picked up so far, I think only one person was actually unalived in the house. And it could well have been in the kitchen. I also picked up, which was quite a long time ago, and something, I don't know if it's actually come up in documents yet, that there was something about, again, someone manipulating the crime scene to cover up, and it feels like a mirror was moved or something to cover up a bullet hole.
Was it a bedroom mirror? Was it a living room mirror? Was it, or I guess, like, where was the mirror?
If it's a mirror, but it's something on a wall.
If it's a mirror,
right. If anyone gets the opportunity to look at the pictures with a fine-tooth comb and go, right, there's a picture, okay, there's the picture on the wall, and then 5 pictures later it's like, same room, where's the picture, where's it gone, or something's moved. It's like, because the reason it's moved is because they've hidden something, they've covered something up. I don't know, at first I thought it was bedroom, but I can't be sure.
Are you familiar with when Steve and Chrissy and Olivia are sitting on the couch and somebody said, our niece called us and said they shot the place up?
Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't actually sat and watched the interview. Is that the same interview where Chrissy says we've got to get this right or something.
You know, that's a good question. I don't know if it is that. I don't know if it's the same interview. Maybe it's in the beginning, because I've seen that clip, but I've seen them at two separate times. What would you describe it? Like a hot mic kind of catches Chrissy saying, "We got to get this right," like kind of quietly.
Yeah.
Before they're about to film.
Yeah.
Which again, oddly enough, they could then go and say their niece called them and said somebody shot the party up and Kaylee's dead. And they dropped their phone and they're like, oh my God. That interview's never been on Ashley Banfield. It's never been on Brian Enton. It's never been on Nancy Grace. It's never been on any of these mainstream channels. Like, why is nobody asking that question?
If they're going to be really honest, it's because subconsciously they know. I mean, they're not stupid. People aren't stupid.
One of my favorite analogies that I've ever heard, Sue, is like you're a good person. I'm a good person. The majority of the people in the chat are good people. And when you're a good person, you assume others are also good people and that they don't have nefarious intent. But what that allows for is for these nefarious people with that bad intent to quickly and easily pull the wool right over your face and accomplish whatever they want. And you have no idea that they just pulled a fast one on you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You have to learn to be, you know, you have to be more discerning, but you have to do it in a way where, again, and it comes down to intuition. I hate to say it. If you want to sort out, you know, who to trust and who not to trust, because you know, you have to question everything now. If you want to know, then you have to trust your intuition, and that is just go by feel.
I agree. And so I've seen some people in the Hive asking that, they're like, has Sue said what she was going to say on Birdie yet? I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know if that was.
Yeah. Okay. So I I was doing a reading the other night, and before I did that reading, I had one of those moments, a bit like I had right at the beginning of this this whole situation, where Maddie came into me and said, by the way, it's not Brian, do you want to know who did it? And I wish I'd kind of explored this a bit more, because it's giving me information which I need to know more about, but it was to do with Dylan.
Okay.
So, and it was basically to do with I mean, yeah, it was around the reason this information came to me, because I was in and out of watching her interview, but I wasn't 100% focused on it. I was just it was in the background kind of thing. This is what I got. She was told before, it was all around the situation with Homeland Security. And I don't know if it was if this is a connection to Homeland Security or if that's what triggered it, but she was told before everything went down in the house that night to get ready, prepare yourself, because there's going to be a raid. So she was told there was going to be a raid on the house, and I'm presuming that means some kind of rugs raid, or, you know, but she was it wasn't even about remaining in place. It was jumbled, and I didn't sit down and explore it. But what she was told wasn't necessarily true either. Does that make any sense to you? Because I don't actually know if it was actually meant to be a raid, or if she was just told it was going to be a raid. I don't know.
I don't know what you know about it prior, as far as like the things that we've looked into, but there's what I'm calling this Freudian slip that happened in an interview where it sounds like Dylan was about to say Homeland Security. That's what I'm guessing what you were watching. And what I find very intriguing about what you just said is, I always thought it was a debrief after. What if it was a briefing, not a debrief? What if it was prior, that Dylan in that interview, which was the day after Brian Koberger got arrested, or less than 24 hours. What if she was referring back to prior to this happening? Like prior to everything going down a month ago. Like, I remember when Homeland Pennsylvania Corrections reached out and they said, do I know anybody in Pennsylvania? And I said, no, I don't know anybody from Pennsylvania. What if she was talking about prior to the crime ever happening?
Quite possibly. One of the things I picked up, and again, on one of the very earliest readings I did, which was actually, I think it was Ethan's, it was either Ethan or Xana's reading, and about the fight that he had, which wasn't that night, it was a different night. But part of the reason for that fight was, apparently, don't forget, this is what I've picked up, it's not factual, that he found out that one of the I don't know who it was, but one of his frat brothers was he knew he was dealing rugs, but what he didn't know, and what Ethan had found out, was that who was supplying the rugs to this person was a member of law enforcement. So law enforcement were involved in the rug situation. And that has a lot to do with it, has a lot to do with Quinn, because he was dealing, and that brings Dylan into it. So she has knowledge, she's involved, she had connections with law enforcement. Everything that you've been told about Kaylee and a member of law enforcement, I saw it as being Dylan actually having, you know, intimate encounters with a member of law enforcement. I saw as being Dylan. Not quite sure who it is yet, because all the readings I've done on law enforcement, they're all doing it. They're all at it. Like, seriously, there's like rampant law enforcement running all over Moscow, shagging everything that moves. But anyway, yeah, it was one particular, and she was literally in bed with the police. Okay. Kaylee, they knew that Kaylee was running something like an OnlyFans or something. It might be something more nefarious than that, I don't know. And they were basically blackmailing Kaylee and using her for sexual services. That's what I saw with Kaylee. Yeah. So this wasn't a romantic affair that she was having with a police officer. It was someone using her because of
blackmail.
It was blackmail.
Dude, my mind is blown. So just to recap that, Dylan may have been the one with the cops having the mutual intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rumors about Kaylee might have really just been, they might have, been, quote, intimacy, but it might have been forced intimacy.
Yeah.
Holy hell. And you got that by reading through Dylan or
so the Kaylee situation has only been revealed fairly recently, but the Dylan situation I've known from day one.
And then Homeland Security. Okay. So then Homeland Security, you mentioned Ethan. Ethan might have found out it was Quinn supplying it. Well, we all know about Quinn's father. I don't want to speak for you. I'm just, where my brain's going is like, now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna think through this theory, knowing what you just said. I haven't thought in that light yet.
But that's why Ethan was then targeted, because what led from that was Ethan. When this happened, what I saw was it happened while Ethan was drunk. So he was basically shouting his mouth off about, whatever he'd found out in a public place. And then later on, what I saw was Ethan actually being captured by someone who was, I still don't know who this guy was. I've got a very clear image of him. He had a Canadian accent. He looked Irish. He was loaded. He had a reputation. I still don't know who he is. I'm still trying to find who this person is. And he just basically, he captured Ethan and just said, you can't be running around Moscow running your mouth off like that. We need to do something about you. I don't think he's the one that actually unalived Ethan, but I think they definitely taught him a lesson that night. And I don't know if the intention was ever to unalive him, but something, and this is what I need to unwrap, is this is what I'm talking about with two different situations happening on the same night. So, and I effectively have seen Ethan being tortured. Yeah.
Do you think that's, so going off of that with Ethan and then Xana, nobody knowing where they really were, like officially, I've always thought it's weird. How do we have Kaylee and Maddie's timeline down to the second, down to the minute, and then 50% of the victims, we have no idea where they are?
Exactly. And it's like, it's not up for question. It's like when you, as part of a police investigation, that would be key.
What's the most common, like, mistaken accent for Canadian? I'm just curious. Does anybody know? Like, I know you said Canadian. I'm just in my mind.
I would have no idea. That's a question for you. I don't know all the accents.
It says upper Midwest American accent, like Minnesota. But I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like Canadian. Yeah, there's people in the chat saying Minnesota. I mean, damn, that's crazy, Sue. So how do you piece together the timeline in your mind then with that? Or do you just kind of not worry about the timeline?
There's parts of the timeline that I've I kind of got very clear information on, like the Ethan timeline. But then there's other people that I'm like, well, this is a total like mystery to me. One of them is Maddie. It's like I don't think they were together, Maddie and Kaylee. I saw how Kaylee passed, and I think I saw Maddie running, and I think there's a possibility that Maddie was trying to escape, and she was captured, and again by law enforcement. That's what I saw. And Zan is another one. It's like, because I feel like Ethan and Xana were separated. And similar stuff going on with both of them, but two different situations. And Xana was wasted that night.
I want to ask you to wrap this up. I saw somebody say, is Sue going to do a 3-card draw? Or what does that mean? Is that like not an on the spot thing or no?
Yeah, like a 3-card reading.
Is there any predictions that for closing thoughts you want to do? If not, I'm not putting you on the spot.
I can, but what is it you want me to read on? That I need a question.
Well, let's ask the Hive. Let's see what the most said one is. Are we ever going to find out the truth? And what did Maddie tell Adam? Are both those?
I've already done what Maddie's told Adam.
All right. So closure in the case, is that open?
Say again.
Like closure in the case. Are we going to know the truth?
Are we going to find the truth? Okay.
Okay, let's do that one.
Let's do that one. I mean, it's not going to be announced, put it that way. We're not going to find out through the normal channels. Like there's not going to be any kind of big reveal or what I am seeing though, because I've got the 10 of Cups in reverse, which is about family. So the 10 of Cups is about family union, family unions, united, people who are in a happy, well-adjusted situation. The first thing I got from this is how many families are going to be ruined. And I'm not talking about people like you and me, people that are fighting against this. I'm actually talking about the people who are directly involved, who are feeding into this narrative, like the families of the victims, or I don't know, there's certain people here that are going to be, this is not going to be a happy time for them, whatever's going on here. I don't know if this could even be about people being sued, or I don't know. The 6 of Pentacles. There's something here about the only way this is ever going to be like at least given a chance to be, for there to be a chance for there to be a fight for justice. It's almost like someone's going to have to give something up to get something. There's going to have to be an exchange of some kind. And I don't know who or what that is. But there's definitely stuff going on. There's definitely stuff going on behind the scenes. I was saying to someone the other day, I think the way it's going to happen is that it's not going to be this case. It's going to be something else. There's going to be another case that's going on, totally unrelated, and someone's going to slip up on that case and they're going to make a huge mistake, and it's going to reveal corruption for all to see. And what that's going to do is it's going to make everyone go, holy shit, now we need to go and check everything else again, because that's happened. And that's probably not the first time it's happened. So now we need to re-look at everything else. And they will re-look at the Idaho 4 case, and they'll start going through all of the case documents with a fine-tooth comb. They'll start questioning, what's this? Why is this missing? Why has that been changed? All of the things that should have been done and hasn't been done. I can't remember what Brian Koberger's zodiac sign is. And the only reason I want his zodiac sign is so that I can identify this card. Um,
I'm the last person to ask about
yeah,
that. I don't know.
I think he's a Sagittarius or a Scorpio from memory, unless anyone knows.
Scorpio is what people are saying.
Scorpio, which gives me a bit of peace of mind, because this card instantly made me feel like he's been taken out. Because this card to me is about, you know, someone who's passed.
Oh,
But
shit.
but equally it could indicate someone who's no longer around, and that doesn't have to mean that they're not alive anymore. It could just mean that they're, again, like we were saying earlier, it could mean that we're being led to believe that he's no longer alive, but we will never hear or see him again. And then the Sun in reverse, which is the last card, and this is the card of lies and deception and darkness, and, you know, the clarity never being brought forward. But do you know what? There's people, we know that this is all, we know that it's not Brian Coburn. We know that it's deception. We know that it's been manipulated. But what we don't know is what actually happened and why did it happen. That's what we want to know. And if we can find that out with confidence, we don't need to be told it.
So you are incredible. And I have to tell you, when you said the Mowich thing right before that, somebody goes, holy shit. You said, what about Mowich? You felt like he was there, but then he ended up trying to help somebody.
Yeah, he was meant to be involved in taking it, and I don't know who or how many people were being taken out, but he bottled it. And I think it was specifically about Kaylee, or knowing how young these people were and just trying to save someone instead of, it's like I feel like he tried to help someone escape and he got caught.
Dude.
And I can't remember who it was. And I can't remember. I know it was a girl. I know it was a female, but yeah.
We talked about Dylan. We talked about the I'm here to help you. Dylan originally thought it was Kaylee in the bathroom. You just said maybe it was Kaylee. Mowich, you're saying you felt like maybe he's the fifth person and maybe he changed his mind to say, I'm here. I want to help. I'm here to help you. I've never recognized his voice.
I didn't realize. I just literally, you just said that and it's just clicked. Yeah.
I'm here to help you. Wow. That's crazy. And I want to give credit to either Beck or Blue Eyed Candy that popped up on the chat. That, I mean, it was simultaneous to my thought. So shout out to you guys in the Hive. Sue, any closing thoughts? And if not, let me just firstly say thank you so much for coming into the Hive. This is one of the best streams that I've ever personally done. And you know, like I said, you have a presence, you're talented, you're gifted, and you know, I wish you the best. I'd be happy to have you back in the Hive anytime.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, it's been an absolute joy. I've loved every minute of it. You guys are amazing, and you know, we have a connection now. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I you know, anytime, honestly, and everyone in the Hive, you're all amazing. I can't thank you all enough for your support. You know, and you know, we're all making a difference, whether it feels like it or not. If we keep going, we will make a difference. We're growing.
Yes, we are. The Hive is growing. Your following is growing. And with that, I hope everybody has a great night's rest. Sue, I hope you have a great night. Thank you for staying up. I know you're over in the UK. It's probably what, 3 a.m. right now. So
I don't care. I've loved it.
All right. Well, I hope you get some rest or as much as you can. And with that, Hive, I will see you tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Central. Cheers. Thank you, Sue.
Bye.